All right, let's get into it.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Warfighter Tobacco Podcast. This is coming not even close to live from DJ's Smoke Shop, and we're in the greater Phoenix area. But you guys have four locations here, right? Yeah. And this location is the I call it the Chandler location.
It's what we call it, Chandler. Okay. Yeah, Arizona Avenue and Warner. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I'm saying it right or not.
No, that's it gets really screwed because we got three in Mesa, so they're all three there. Okay.
Yeah, so the Mesa location is three different shops.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, and so we're out here doing a little sales trip, and we decided to come in and sit down and talk with you guys because we actually have a lot of history together. So quickly, before we get into all of that, do a little introduction. You know who you are.
Mark Jacobowski, my son Zach Jacobowski. There. My father started the shop 38 years ago now, something like that.
Cool.
Yeah, and we got into the cigar line on it about 37 years ago. We got in before the big boom hit, before Schwarzenegger went on the cover of that one magazine, and then Jordan and all those guys. And then the boom hit, and so we've been in the very beginning of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you guys, how many did you guys have? All four locations right away, or did you guys start with?
No, we started with one. And I didn't want to work for my dad, so I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to do that. So, and then finally, when he wanted to open another one, he called me in, and so he talked me into it. So I came here.
Yeah.
And my wife was pregnant with Zach's older brother, and so when she had him, she decided that, you know what, instead of taking the kid to daycare, she brought him to here. So all three of my sons have grown up in the stores. We've had playpens in the background and changing the diapers in the back and everything. So it's been a family business
and now the passing of the guard's happening again.
Exactly. So
Zach's running this this location.
Yeah, he went to ASU, got his biomedical engineering degree, and decided, you know what, I don't want to do that. So
came and worked in the shop.
And thank God he did, because that keeps the energy up. With it. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. But yeah, we met. We actually met on a trip in Nicaragua.
Yeah. I kind of remember some of that.
It was we drank a lot on that trip. There was a lot of rum that was consumed.
That was great. Yeah.
But it was a hell of a trip.
It was a blast.
We had a great time.
We saw the second largest Jesus.
Yep. And that was the only thing that could cure my hangover was going to see Jesus.
We won't talk about who we followed up the hill.
That was
passed us 2 times going up the hill.
Just to go eat lunch.
Yeah.
And then came back down afterwards, not even out of breath, and we're over there dying.
We're dying.
Yeah. I still talk about that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, we went up to go see Jesus, and this local Nicaraguan girl we stopped at the overlook before we went all the way up.
To get our breath.
And we're dying. And she stopped too, and she's looking around. And then she kept going. We're like, okay, we got to be, man, let's go do this. And so we get all the way up to the top, and she's up there just eating a sandwich. And we're like,
please, Jesus, help me take it back down.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah.
Oh, then passed out in the hammock. I think you passed out in the hammock.
Yeah, I think I slept in the hammock that night.
Yeah. Yep.
We walking through that. What was that little town that we walked through? Was
at the beach?
Yeah.
San Juan del Sur.
Oh, it was.
I was just down there a couple months ago when I was down there, or maybe a month. I don't even know when it was when I was just in Nicaragua.
It was nice on the beach side.
We did a couple of days down in San Juan del Sur.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool because we went and saw Jesus again, except we didn't walk from the beach like we did.
Uh-huh.
We drove up to the base and we just walked that last little bit, right? Well, I asked the guys, and I'm like, okay, guys, look. I'm like, this sucks. Straight up, this sucks.
And you did it fairly sober, too. We were hurt that weekend.
And we were sober when we did it this last trip. But when we did it, I'm pretty sure we were all still drunk.
There
wasn't even hungover. But yeah, and I asked the guys, I'm like, we can do this, and this is like the legit way of doing it, or we can drive up and park, and we walk. And like, let's drive and park. And still, when we got up that last little bit, we get to the top, and I was looking around, and I'm trying to play it off, you know, but I'm like sucking, and I look around, and those guys are sucking too. I'm like, good, it's not just me. Yeah.
No, that was fun. That was when you changed over.
But yeah, that was our trip where we switched from Placencia to Esteban Carrera's factory. And you guys were there through the whole thing. And it was awesome meeting and talking with you guys. And we got to be friends
even before we started handling everything from yours.
Yeah. You know, and
it's worked out really great. Handling now, it's great.
It was a couple of years after that when you guys picked us up in your shops. And so that was nice. I mean, obviously, a business relationship works out well, but it's nice to be able to have a legitimate friendship and beforehand with stories. But it goes even deeper than that because we, there's that saying that it's a very small world, and it really is when it comes to everything. Like,
you got Nick.
Nick coming into the podcast, I do a lot of stuff with Warfighter Scuba, and we've had Nick on the podcast a bunch. We just released one with them from Roatan a couple weeks ago. When Nick got his advanced open water certification,
it was me.
Mark was the instructor, and I didn't know any of this till afterwards. And we find all this out because I started doing stuff with Warfighter Scuba. And Mark's like, "Wait, you know Nick?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I know Nick. How do you know Nick?" He's like, "Well, I
got him on the phone."
And I was like,
"What?" Yeah, because when I met Nick, I taught him, and then I said, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to go down to Roatan next week, and I've never been down there." He said, "I'm moving down there." I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. And you dive as well.
I do, yeah.
You don't get as crazy as stuff that he does.
Not quite as deep as him.
No, he got his dive master.
We went to our dive master together, and then
drug him along, made him do all the dive mastering for me when I was teaching.
Yep.
So now you're going to be a big shot. You're going to be.
I'm not going that. I wouldn't call it a big shot. I just get to
instructor and everything.
I get to teach people now.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited. I have this horrible problem that I find something that I love, and then I turn really passionate about it, and then I turn it into
That's why
work.
you guys ended up.
That's why we're friends. Yeah.
And then I turn it into work, and then I try to like we talked about right before we started recording.
Yeah.
How do I do this and not get burnt out on it?
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean?
And like you were saying, you're like, I need to come dive with you guys, just fun dives,
just for fun dive. Yeah,
babysitting
sometimes gets tough. Sometimes all the time.
But I do it with everything I do. Like I love hunting and fishing, and I'm an outdoors director for a nonprofit called Intrepid Care.
Which is
so during hunting season, like this past hunting season, I didn't take a single whitetail.
Really?
No, but we had 168 veterans that went out on hunts that took animals.
Oh, wow.
Which is so cool that you've gotten that you work into that kind of stuff. Because I do, like we talked about, I did the Oscar Mike stuff and life waters and deal with a lot of the adaptive diving and things like that. It's really rewarding.
It's and I tell people, they're like, do you get burnt out? I'm like, yeah, I get burnt out, but I look at it as like my form of therapy is getting other people out and giving them that experience.
Yeah,
that helps me just about as much as it helps them. And it's I don't know, I like to say it's selfish reasons why I do it, because it kind of is like I get so much out of being the person that helps facilitate this for other people that I don't need anything else. Like it's rewarding enough just off of that.
It really is amazing. I mean, once you get going on it, you'll see like the DSDs, the Discover Scuba Diving. It's so weird because you get them first underwater and like, oh my God, this is amazing. Right. I can breathe underwater and I'm not going to die. But then you get some people that
oh man, I'm
going to die again.
We had a guy down in Roatan. It wasn't a veteran, it was a family member. And he just couldn't wrap his brain around the fact that he had to use his lips to seal around his rig.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time he'd go down, he'd come back up, coughing and all this stuff.
My reg is leaking.
Yeah. And he's like, this thing, it doesn't work. I just keep getting air in my your water in my mouth. And I'm like, well, put your lips around the regulator and don't let the water go. And it just...
it's great was when you start teaching some people and you start getting the mask clearing.
Yeah.
You say, blow through your nose, exhale, you can clear your mask. I am. No, you're not. I can see you're blowing out your mouth. No, I am. It's like, dude, I can see it.
we had a guy, watch this guy, and if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're doing skills. This is my last trip in Roatan, and we're just doing refresher stuff. And this guy, he's like, I haven't dove in a while, blah blah blah. Okay, let's go over all the basic stuff. Make sure if you have any issues, we'll teach you, and then we'll go and do the fun dives.
Yeah.
And so we're doing the mask clearing. So we, show them to give the hand arm signal for it, which is underwater. You can't really talk. And so we're going around the circle doing it, and everybody's doing exactly. And we get to this guy, and God, I love him to death. It was a great trip. He was an awesome person, but he just hasn't dove in a while. And in his brain, this is how it made sense to him, because he was watching everybody else, and they push pressure on the top, or they put it up, and they tilt their head back, and then he'd see bubbles go out. And so what he did is he took a breath, he tilted his head back, he lifted his mask up, and he blew out and tried to catch all the bubbles under his mask and put it back on his face real quick. And And like he did it like 2 or 3 times, and then like it went from a full flood to like just a barely on the bottom. And I was like, well, that's not the right way to do it, but you accomplished the mission.
Yeah. The skill is to clear your
oh,
mask.
man.
Yeah.
So we got to the surface, and I was like, hey, listen, like, I understand what you were trying to do, but this is actually how you do it.
Yeah.
And he's just like, that makes so much more sense. And I'm like, yeah, it really does.
No, when I first did my first DSD, when we talked about how people love it and some people don't.
Yeah.
I was down in Dominican Republic. Me and my wife were doing it. We were in a pool and we're doing and they put us in the water and there with an instructor, of course, and I go swim off. And I'm just having a blast.
Yeah.
I come back. My wife says, you left me here. What are you doing? I'm going to get in trouble. I guess I should be doing it. She says, you left me here. And I said, well, you're here with the instructor. First thing. I mean, you're perfectly safe. And then the next thing is stand up.
You're like, whoa, just put your feet down, you know?
But so she won't dive, and and as I'm going up now, I'm instructor trainer, so I train all these people and work with adaptive diving. So I'm taught quadriplegics how to scuba dive. I say, I guarantee you're safe. And now it gets to the point where I have invention cures. Stop. I'm not going to dive.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
one of the cool things when I went into the adaptive stuff, the classified dive buddy with SSI. You have to do blind diver.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can put a blackout mask on. And, you think you're like, whatever. Okay, cool. It's like, I just close my eyes. No. When you take away that sense underwater, like it kind of changes everything.
It does.
And it was super cool. Like I was the demo guy when Nick was teaching. So I put the blackout goggles on you, and you legitimately, you can't see anything.
You're out, yeah.
And then with SSA, they teach you put a thumbs up, and then your dive buddy has your thumb, and
feel it. Okay.
It's like a joystick. We're going forward, we're going back, going left, going right, and that way the blind guy can kind of help, and he's not trying to fight you.
Yeah, makes sense. Like riding a motorcycle, have you lead the wrong way.
And so it's super cool. But, we're doing it in a little, a shallow area. And so we were just doing these little circles, and we were going back and doing another circle and all this stuff. And like, I didn't get vertigo, but I was like, ooh, I could see where somebody can get really, really messed up underwater. Like this.
I did a good one. I was working with the fire department here, working with the guys taking over their dive team. And they put us out in the lake, and we're working, they call it dope on the rope, where you're on the end of a rope and you're blackout mask and you're looking for a body underwater. Okay. So you go back and forth and they'll tug on the rope and you turn around and go the other way. So, but it's just a weird feeling when you're scrolling along the bottom, completely blacked out. At one point I was supposed to, they gave me a rope and so I was going back and forth on the line and I was supposed to tie myself up at the end and signal that I had a problem. Okay. The other guy's supposed to come out and rescue you and we're going to put a body in a body bag and pretend it. I lost the rope as I'm going back and forth. Oh, man. So I'm thinking, and you're blacked out. I'm blacked out. And then on top of it, I'm thinking, fuckers, they're back there laughing their ass off at me because they see the rope floated up or it's like, I'm not going to surface. It was all cops and firemen guys and everything that were up there. So how these guys were like, so I'm going back and forth on the bottom of the lake and you can't find anything. I found the rope. So I tied myself off, gave the signal, and they came out and they say, hey, Mark, you're only supposed to do it a couple times. And then we were supposed to come out. And I said, how come you did it like 5 times? I lost the rope.
That's funny.
They said, you found it? yeah, I'm good.
Oh, that's great.
Good old guys are always ready to kick you when you screw. Right.
They're just waiting for it.
That's what buddies are. Yeah. But it's just hilarious that the small world, like you said, that everybody works together with just knowing the people and connecting with stuff. Like it's what we were talking about earlier, how that's the beauty about the cigars.
It is.
Guys just sit down and you'll have real estate, you'll have bankers, you'll have a mechanic that comes across the way.
Yeah, all different walks of life.
Everybody just has a blast, just BSing and busting everybody's balls and just having a good time.
Yeah. And it's just the common denominator. It's a bunch of leaves wrapped up in a leaf.
Yeah. Go figure.
We light it on fire. For some reason, it makes everyone talk.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, when did you get into cigars?
Like I said, it was about 88. It was about a year after we opened. And we started him because our shop, always the smoke shop side. So
but like you personally smoking.
Oh, smoking. Well, the funniest thing is the first one I had after we got into cigars is when I started first smoking a cigar. Okay. So I was in my 40s at the time, I think. No, 20s. Yeah, I lose track of time. I'm not quite that old, but I feel like it sometimes. But yeah, I had I don't want to say which one I had, but it was a very calm, mild cigar, and I smoked it like, this isn't any good.
Right.
And then I waited, and 6-8 months later, I had a cooler cigar, real cigar. I'm like, oh, this is what they're supposed to taste like.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I like this one.
Yeah, so it's real. The first one just tastes like a cigarette or something.
Right.
Yeah. But
What? Go ahead.
No.
I was going to say, when did you get into cigars?
Oh, we can't tell him that because he's my son, so he probably smoked a little bit earlier.
Well, so I got into cigars. I was 13 years old.
Okay, so
And it's a friend of mine's older brother. He drove a Buick Grand National, and I thought he was the coolest guy in the world because of that car. And he was like, hey, I'm going to get cigars. You guys want some? And I was kind of like scrounged quarters together. And I think he brought me some Macanudo or something. I don't even remember.
Yeah, that was it.
And that was my first cigar. And then, like I guarantee you I didn't enjoy it, but I tried to look cool. And, but that was kind of it. And after that, like, anytime that there was, hey, you want to have a cigar? Or, I got an extra, you want this? Or somebody's smoking one. And I'm just like, I like cigars. And then, I joined the military, and there's I wouldn't say everybody, but there's a lot of people that smoke cigars in the military. And then even after I got out, and then, I never had a grand scheme or plan to be like, I'm going to have a cigar company someday, But when it happened, like, I was just like, I love smoking cigars. So this works out great. Yeah. So when did you get in?
Yeah. For me, it was probably like family camping trips, sitting around the fire, and I'm probably 16, 15, 16.
Best, yeah.
It's like, here, hey, you want to try one? Like, it's okay. It's just us around here. Like, go and give it a try. And at the time, I probably did it because I thought it was cool and just trying to fit in with everyone else. And, I can't tell you if I liked it or not.
Right.
But like, over the years, the first cigar I remember smoking, I think we were on vacation. We were in Mexico, and it was a Monte Cristo No. 2. We were sitting on the beach smoking a cigar, and like that's the very first one that I remember.
Yeah.
And ever since then,
yep.
Yeah, because it's always been fun, especially at a campfire. You can't do anything better than smoke a cigar and relax on it.
Like I use horrible words when I describe it, and it's just like I remember at a certain age in my life, and it's just before I joined the military, that I was smoking a cigar, and the word I use for it is it hooked me. Like I got hooked on cigars from that one experience. But I hate using that word because there wasn't anything like, it wasn't like, oh, it was the nicotine in the cigar that did it. No, like I enjoyed the experience of sitting down and smoking that cigar. And
it slows you down a little bit too.
Yeah.
You have to sit down there and dedicate the time and enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah. My father smoked cigarettes like a chain smoker. He used to work for Douglas, and he was an engineer there, and he was smoking like crazy. And so I was never into smoking.
Yeah.
And so I had the cigar, and it was more, like you said, sitting down in the atmosphere of it. I mean, because you don't smoke a cigar while you're working for the most part of the computer and stuff. Like some people do.
You do.
And some people do.
You can try.
But it's just more like things like this around a fishing time or golfing or just BSing with people. And that's what makes it enjoyable.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to say it's healthy for you, but I just enjoying life.
It's not unhealthy.
Yeah, but
sitting
down and breathing and relaxing a little bit, I think adds more time than what the smoking takes away.
So
my own opinion.
There's a lot of studies that were put out that essentially they come down. The results of the study were saying that there's no negative health effects.
Yeah.
What potentially could be a negative health, effect from smoking isn't really because there's really no additives. You're not inhaling it, that kind of things. But what you do while you're smoking it is the plus side.
Yeah.
The decompression, the sitting here and the relaxation that you get from it, and then de-stressing, that actually extends your life longer than anything that you could possibly ever do.
I can 100% feel that.
Yeah. Like stress is the biggest killer in the world. It's causing so much health risks and health issues.
And then that's why cigars are so great. I mean, and like pipe smokers, they're similar too, because it's more of a ritual to that.
Yeah.
But I think cigars are more camaraderie with that than you do. Pipe smokers, other times they'll sit by themselves and relax, which is still great. But I enjoy the talking with people.
Yeah. Yep.
And it brings you out of your shyness. You're not near as shy when you're smoking a cigar.
Yeah. And there's so many times over the years, being in shops all across the country and sitting down and having some conversations and talking with people. And there's like just the most unique things and stories and people that you meet. And it's just, Like if I never walked into that cigar shop and never smoked that cigar, I never would have had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have ran into that guy on the street and had that same conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
So
it's true.
yeah, it's super cool when it comes down to that.
No, and so, and then you started with Scott. You got friends with them out of the military?
Yeah, Scott and I, we served together when we were in the military. So we were together at Fort Campbell from 2001 to 2004. We deployed together 2003, 2004. And then actually after I got out in 05, Scott got out in I think 07. And then we didn't talk for like 7 years.
Oh, really?
I mean, texts here and there and stuff like that, but it wasn't anything, with substance.
Yeah.
And then we ended up doing a platoon. I was living in Europe actually at the time. We did a platoon reunion in West Virginia, and we got out there, and one of the guys brought like 14 jars of moonshine. And so like the first day we were there, we got drunk like 6 times in one day.
It seems to be like a reoccurring theme.
Well, when we were younger. Now we're older. It's not so much. But no, like we drank, because moonshine sneaks up on you. You don't really know. So I mean, it got to the point where like I couldn't even stand up. I'm like, oh my God, and then I like sober up enough, and then somebody hands me a jar, and I'm like, yeah, okay, here we go.
And it looks like water.
Yeah. And so by the end of the night, like it's dark out at this point, and it's been a long day. And Scott at the gun store at the time, and Warfighter wasn't even a thought.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm all drunk. I'm like, I need to come sell guns with you. He's like, yeah, you do. It's gonna be so much fun, And so that next morning we were making breakfast, and we link up, and kind of both of us at the same time. We're like, hey, are you serious about what we were talking about last night? And we talked a little bit more, and then I went back to Europe, and we were messaging back and forth trying to figure it all out. And so we decided, okay, this is going to be a thing. I'm going to come out to Nebraska and we're going to do this. But how it played out was I was going to fly from Belgium to Arizona. I was going to buy a vehicle. I was going to drive to Vegas. I was going to pick him up at the airport, and we're going to go to SHOT Show, which is
Arizona.
Show.
See, again, another small
and,
world.
And so, because I still have family here.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't have a vehicle in the States. And so I needed one, and so I was going to pick him up, and we were going to drive from Vegas back to Nebraska and, go from there. So all of that was figured out with 17 text messages between the two. That wasn't like I sent 17. No, collectively, him and myself,
the high school girl.
Messages.
Yeah.
and that was it. Like, and then we didn't talk for like, I don't know, probably a month leading up to it. Because like, the military stuff. It's just like you do what you say, and you say what you do, and that's it. And you follow it. And if there's any changes, you communicate. If you don't communicate, then it's just still the plan.
That's the way it should be. I agree. People are saying, are we still on for that?
So,
well, I didn't say no. So
Scott and 2 other guys land in Vegas from Nebraska, and they get their bags, and they're walking out to, the curb, and it's one of Scott's buddies. He's just like, so you said you got a buddy that's picking us up? He's like, yeah, an old Army buddy of mine. He's like, yeah, where's he coming from? He's like, Belgium. He's like,
that's a long ass drive.
He's like, yeah, but he flew to Arizona and he bought a vehicle, and then he's going to pick us up at the airport. And he's like, what? He's like, when's the last time he talked to me? He's got a couple weeks ago. And he's just like, wait, are you sure he's going to pick us up? And at that point, he's like, you know what? He's like, I'll call him. I'll see where he's at. And he calls me. And he's like, hey, I'm like, sorry, man, I got stuck at a light. I'm like 2 minutes out. I'm pulling around the corner right now. And he's like, cool. And hangs up the phone. And the other guy's like, well, what did he say? He's like, he's pulling up right now. Like 30 seconds later, I pull up and I get out. I'm like, And these 2 other guys are like, what the fuck? And yeah, it was really funny.
Yeah, reliable there. That's the thing.
But yeah, and then it's all downhill from there. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember that because when we were down in Nicaragua, we were talking about that. You guys were Army buddies, and we walked through that shady little town because on the beach was okay, but as you started walking through the town,
the further, so
like, is this what Iraq looked like? And you guys said, yeah,
much,
but no one's trying to kill us.
It is. It was funny too because we actually spent more time this last trip. I spent more time in town than we did just hanging out or on the beach, and it's interesting.
Yeah,
that San Juan del Sur is very interesting. But we also got we linked up with Sin and Josh with Dissident Cigars.
Okay.
They live full time. They live in San Juan del Sur.
Oh wow.
But they're not in the city. They're back out and they're up in the mountains. And
up by Jesus.
No.
Okay.
Back out like the main road that we drove into to get into San Juan del Sur.
Yeah.
And so we went up and hung at their house and smoked a couple cigars and just a beautiful amazing place. But like one of the things that I was, my brain works a little weird. Like we were talking about tech diving earlier, going really deep, 200-300 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what are your emergency procedures? The surface is no longer an option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when we were down to talk with Josh and Sin, and I was just like, what, like, if you guys have a major health issue, like what happens?
Yeah.
Like there's a local hospital in San Juan del Sur, but I mean, it's Nicaragua, like there's a hospital in Managua that's decent.
Yeah. Probably so. I mean,
but it's 4 hours from San Juan del Sur to Nicaragua.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not like you have a life flight and the ambulance is like, there's no sense of urgency in Nicaragua, And so essentially they were like, I've just accepted that if I have a major health incident, that this is where it happens.
It's a nice place to plan.
I'm gonna ride it out.
Yeah.
It was a good life. I was like, wow.
Really? Yeah. But that's part of the part I love about those areas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because
you're legitimately
people,
living.
Yeah, but and people for the most part aren't messing with you too much. They're trying to survive.
That's
They're
it.
trying to get along. Don't leave me alone, and I'll get along. You got a few people everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then here in the States, people would rather mess with each other than try to survive.
Yeah. And so I just take care of yourself and don't screw with other people, and you're in good shape.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah. It was just really funny because she said it with such like matter of factly, and I was just like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Well, you start watching where you step a little bit better when you're doing things like that. Yeah.
And I think that whole thing started with, I was like, well, like, what is there anything around here that tries to kill you?
Yeah.
And then they went down a kind of a list of things. It's kind of jungly,
Oh, really?
And they have like there's these ants that come in and just like take over everything, and they call them cleaner ants, and they'll take anything that's not pretty much tied down.
Which
they don't mess with you unless you mess with them, and then
you don't win.
Going to the hospital.
I remember when we went down there, we saw that monkey cross the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were monkeys screaming, all kinds of. I mean, it's very interesting. Definitely different wildlife there than here.
Or we stayed at that zoo. Or that one?
Oh, that's it's called Aquarius, the hotel.
Okay,
so that's pretty much the only place that we stay down there. And I still think it's a cartel front.
You gotta
We're
wonder.
the
only ones there.
Yeah.
Every time I'm there, I'm the only ones there. But yeah, so I guess they do a lot of stuff. The restaurant does a lot of things. They have slow and busy seasons. And then they do a lot of events, and they have a small school that they use and stuff.
Yeah, because when we were there, and I think every time you're always there, it's always the slow season.
It feels like it, at least, yeah.
Okay, thank you much.
But yeah, it's so actually I've gotten to talk with the lady who owns it.
Okay,
and I mean, if it's a cartel front, they did a really good job. You know what I mean? I don't think I joke about it, but I don't
probably not. But I mean,
but
who has their own zoo down there?
But the property is so beautiful. It's just perfectly maintained and manicured and landscaped. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that whole area, and everybody we ran into down there were nice and friendly. I mean. Some of the guy girls kind of had an eye out for Zach. If I remember that.
That was down at the beach. That
was pretty popular down there.
That was really funny. That was really funny.
And then the rum down there is just phenomenal. I mean, I think the sodas cost more than the rum.
Yeah, I mean, you get a little bottle at a bar of rum, and it's $10.
Yeah,
you get a soda, it's $3. You're like, give me the rum. I don't need the sodas anymore.
It was good stuff too. It wasn't bad stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we found a bunch of other cool places, over the years of going down since when we went down with you guys. And even down in San Juan del Sur, like Josh and Sin gave us a great recommendation of this place. And it was probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. The food was phenomenal. I mean, it was very pricey for Nicaragua, but it was, the service and the ambiance was just phenomenal. I can't remember the name of the place, but I look it up on a map.
It's like Roatan down there. Some places down there, Nick always finds good places.
So good. And then you can go like right next door, and it's just like, don't go there, you'll get food poisoning.
Yeah. I remember last time I was down there, I was walking along and I heard some people, and there was a dive shop. And the one place that closed down. Yeah. And it was the Russians that were there, and they saw my last name, Jacobowski. I introduced myself, and they said, so they poured me some vodka. Here we go, Polsky. So we're sitting there drinking, and I'm like, oh shit, my family's out there. I gotta go.
Yep.
Wait, divers are like cigar smokers. They just love to sit around, drink, and
and talk. Yeah. Yep.
But I definitely have got to come down there with you guys and just do some fun. And I mean, even if you're doing adaptive stuff, I don't care about that. I'll do that with you too. But
but I mean, even just for fun dives.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got my full rebreather set up, but I finally just put together a little travel package for myself, just a light little thing, a Caribbean one where I don't have to wear a dry suit or I don't have to have 40 pounds of lift or anything.
Yep. No, I don't know if I mean, there's a couple cold weather dive spots that like I have on like a bucket list type deal. I think it's in Norway if I remember right.
Oh yeah,
where the two continents come together.
Yeah.
And you can touch two continents at the same time. Like I thought that'd be super cool, but that's 100% dry suit dive. You know,
and dry suit's fine, and as long as you got a P valve in it, you're fine.
And then I don't ever want to do cave diving, but for some reason I want to do an ice dive. And I don't know why. I just think it's super cool.
Yeah, it's
kind-of.
The first dry suit I got was from a guy, and he died, but he didn't die in the suit, so it was okay. But
it's a good distinction to make.
Yeah.
You're gonna throw that in. So everyone understands.
But he had a picture of him underneath an iceberg, and touching it, and so it was really cool. Like, that would be sweet. But then up in Norway, you can dive with killer whales too. They have those pods that come through in those areas.
Cool.
That would be really neat.
But the only thing about the ice diving is it kind of goes back to why I'll probably never do like on the tech side is if the surface isn't an option, I don't know if I want to do that. And you're under ice. It's not like you're like, I'm just going to punch through it. No.
Yeah, full ice. Yeah, that would be kind of iffy. Yeah, that'd be full on cave diving and all that kind of stuff.
But I don't know. Maybe
or the one I want to do is I want to do the risking. I want to go to Florida and dive that aircraft carrier.
Oh yeah,
that would be sweet.
Yeah, but that's a deep dive though. Right?
Yeah. Well, I think 100. I think the flight deck sits at 155.
Yeah, so it's deeper than recreation.
Oh yeah. But you can get the tower and everything, so you can get a lot to it.
Right.
But I think the screws only sit 212, something like that. So it's not really super deep. No big deal.
Only. And I'm over here and like, we're doing 100 feet, and I'm just like, I'd rather do like 60 because I don't want to have 10 minutes of bottom time. Right? You know, and you're like, it's only 212.
That's where the rebreathers come in handy. They're really handy.
Right.
And you save a lot on gas.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's very
dive
true.
in Trimix. And the hilarious thing about Trimix is if you have comms, I was doing that, and you sound like Mickey Mouse.
Right. Everyone's all heliumed out. So what do you guys have on the agenda, like upcoming? I know you guys just like we're sitting in your kind of lounge area.
Yeah.
Last time I was in here, I think you guys only had a handful of chairs and they were completely on the other side.
Yeah, we decided we'd just do it right and get it all here set up for everybody.
Once you guys moved around. So.
We got a little patio out here. So if we do stuff in the cooler weather, we'll set up patio tables and everything. We get about 30, 40 people out there for some events and stuff. But for the most part, we just have this. And we did an event at one of our store out there, Far East Mesa. And I think we had 50 or 60 people there for that one.
Awesome.
I had to bring in a whole shitload of tables for that one. And that was a blast.
Yeah.
But we're going to be heading into our summertime here and everything locked down. It's like we have, you're in Texas, you have it too, but it doesn't get quite as hot as out here, do you?
So there's on average, it's about a 10-degree difference.
Okay.
Right. Winter or summer doesn't matter. But the biggest difference is you guys are out here all year round and it's, dry.
Yeah.
And we have humidity.
Yeah.
A lot of it. Which I've come to realize that I thoroughly love a humid climate.
Oh, really?
When I come out here for a sales trip, like I lived in Arizona for like almost 8 years on and off. And when I come out here for sales trips now, by the end of the week, like my skin is so dry. And then like when I, driving is a little different, but when I fly, when I land back in San Antonio, as soon as I walk out of the airport, I'm like, I'm like humidity. I'm like, I miss this.
Well, what about August or something like that though? When you get the heat and humidity?
I'll take it. It's kind of like here with the heat. Okay, you know what I mean? You're like, well, but it's a dry heat. It's still fucking hot.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
120 still.
And it's still the same out there. Like,
but you can sweat and you get relief.
Right
there, you sweat and you just stay wet the whole time. I'm kind of curious.
But at least you're sweating.
Yeah,
we're here. You don't know you're getting dehydrated.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
If you stop sweating, then you know it's a problem.
That's the thing. It's like you're sweating. All of a sudden, you're like, uh-oh. I gotta talk. Hold on, I gotta drink water, find some shade. Like I'm about to die.
That's where his younger brother's going to Knoxville, in Tennessee, and so he's going to go back to medical school. So
he's got some humidity out there.
Yeah, so I'm going to wait and see what it looks like in August and see what it's like.
So he's going to med school, like doctor.
Yeah, doctor.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
See, I just thought he was my drinking buddy. I didn't know he was smart too. I'm kidding. He's over by the counter.
I don't know how smart he is or not.
No, we had a moment at one of the PCAs years ago, and
Another recurring theme.
we were pretty drunk.
Oh yes,
We were really drunk. And,
Yeah. I had to bow out of that one. I remember, but I didn't want to leave the boys with you. So I just found the table off on the side because it was in Vegas. So I'm trying to watch you guys then play blackjack
Oh, that was really funny.
and drink my
But
drink.
it's funny. I woke up the next morning and we were setting up the booth, getting ready to open for the show. And I look at Scott and I was like, man, we got pretty rowdy last night. He's like, yeah, and I was like, I don't know if they like me or not anymore. I was like,
I'm pretty sure that day is when we opened an account.
I think it was, yeah.
And I was just like, I think I burned that bridge, man. And he's just like, well, he's like, let's try to find him. We'll talk to him today,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And like a couple hours later, you were the first one I saw. You came up on the show and you're like, yeah, you're like, last night was so much fun. I haven't been that drunk in so long and blah, blah, blah. And so we need to place an order. And I was just like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I thought we went too far last night.
Oh no. Yeah. If you got buddies, if you can't offend your buddies, then hell, they're not buddies.
But no, we had a good time. That was so much fun. I haven't laughed that hard in so long. God.
Yeah. I had a whole new respect for you seeing the next day, being able to work the whole day.
Yeah, if you be a man at night, you be a man in the morning.
God damn.
It's funny with the trade shows is different, right? Because you saw me in Nicaragua too.
Uh-huh.
I was hurting,
Mhm.
But at the trade show, it's just this is it. I have 4 days.
Yeah.
And I have to be on 24/7, no matter what I'm doing or how I feel. There was one year I ended up, I thought I was just allergies or sick, but it was that year that everyone got COVID.
Oh yeah.
And I was one of the guys that got COVID. And so it's still, I'm giving interviews. And now when I look back at these interviews, I'm like, oh my God, nobody told me I sounded like that, And it was brutal, but I'm still trucking through it. And I'm just like, oh, but then I get back from a trade show and I'm dead for a week.
Yeah. Well, you got to recover.
I don't smoke a single cigar for 4
I know.
or 5 days.
It's funny. It was probably
so
40
much
and
on you guys than
yeah.
retailers.
Dude,
We go there, we don't have to be on.
I smoke
You guys
probably
are-
20, 25
Exactly.
cigars a day at
Yeah.
the trade shows. How can I sell a cigar and not have one in my hand?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
the second I wake up, and then as soon as the show ends, that's about the only break I have. It's about 45 minutes to an hour between walking somewhere and then getting dinner with no cigar. And as soon as we get done with dinner, back at it again. Until,
and
whatever.
that's where
2,
you can
3,
tell where
4
you
in
got
the
your
morning.
friends, because then you go hang out with those guys versus having to be on with everybody else.
I tell people all the business gets done after the show hours,
Yeah.
but the orders get taken during the show hours.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you make the relationships and you hang out.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing, and that's why I like going to the shows. And you'll hang out with Nick or with all the other guys
Right.
from all the different, and you'll see how they really are. And
You hang out with reps, with brand owners,
Mhm.
principals, decision makers. You hang out with shop owners. Some shops end up bringing some consumers, which they're not supposed to, but okay.
and their whole entourage, that they
Right.
like to hang out.
It's lately the past couple of years it hasn't been like that at all.
All right, yeah.
But there's some years where it was. It's bad.
Yeah.
Guys are like, oh yeah, hey, blah blah. Oh well, yeah. Well, I don't do any of the decision making.
Yeah.
Oh, you want sample?
Why's your
you
badge
just
say
want free
buyer?
cigars?
Yeah.
But
For the most part, I just bring family. Well, I'm lucky because I bring the boys.
there was a shop. I'm not going to name who it was, but there's a shop that was out of Florida that had multiple locations, and they would hire. They would bring out a bunch of promo girls, or they called them employees, but I don't think they really were.
Yeah.
But their goal was to go around and get as many samples as they could. They had competitions every day of how many cigars they could get. And what they were doing is they were bringing them back to the shop, putting them in sampler packs and selling them.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
oh. And so from that day forward, you come, they'd walk over and I see their tag. I'm like, get out of my booth.
Yeah.
You're not a buyer. Get out of my booth. And they're like, what? And I'm like, go tell whoever your manager or owner is that until they come over here, do not send a representative to my booth.
Yeah. Well,
and they never came by. And I'm like, fuck you
30
guys.
30 years ago, it used to be you'd have all the cigars out and people would just take a sample if they wanted to, but then people were just scooping them up
It's insane.
and bringing them back to
Yeah.
the stores and stores out.
I remember
not
we
cool.
were at TPE and there's somebody that walked away from their booth. It was a smaller booth, and this fucking thing got raided. People were just grabbing everything they could grab. The guy came back. He's like, "What the?" I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Don't leave your booth unattended, man. You can't trust these people.
Well, or you get the people going, "Hey, can I have this ashtray? Can I have that?" Or
Especially the last day.
yeah.
Anything you don't want to pack up, well, I'll take from you.
What are the
I'll
other-
pack everything,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, what are the other
I brought it all
vendors?
Principal,
here.
I'm taking it all with
I
me.
brought it all
Yeah.
here. I have enough room.
One of the other vendors, which again, I'll protect the names,
Mhm.
protect the innocent. You'll say, yeah, sure, you can have come back on the last day. And he says, as they're coming up, we'll see him. We'll talk about it. And he's like, oh, dude, we just gave him away to the guys. And like, oh, you were supposed to.
Yep. The brand that's really, really good about it is Boveda. On the last day, they go around and they're like, do you want anything that we have on display? We don't want to bring it back with us.
Yeah, or any of the Chinese companies that fly in big humidors and stuff. They don't want to send them back. So,
but
if
we
you
don't
drive up, you can take your stuff back.
Right.
Yeah,
we don't do a lot
great.
with those guys, but like with Boveda, for instance, they're they want to humidify everything. And so like we ship everything in Pelican cases when we're out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll give us a shitload of the 320 packs. We could throw them all in for whatever we're shipping back.
Yeah.
And they walk around with their big year-long Boveda bags because Cigars for Warriors does a thing also at the end of the trade shows where whatever you have that you don't want to bring back with you, or if it's open or whatever, or just if you want to donate it, you leave it. Cigars for Warriors will take care of it.
That's cool.
And so Boveda walks around with all these bags as well. And they're like, hey, if you have CFW cigars, put them in these bags and they'll come by and pick them up. And it's just like, God, you guys got this dialed in.
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome.
That's very cool.
This
year we're probably not going to hit the show because we're going back and forth like next weekend. Going to
you guys have to actually travel to get there now.
Yeah. But like I said,
drive.
I'm making a second trip back to Knoxville here in another couple of weeks, trying to buy a house back there. So I'm going back and forth. So that's going to be taking up my time.
Right.
And so I'm not even planning a trip down to the Caribbean to dive yet, just because of all that travel. So.
Well, I'll let you know when I'm planning.
Yeah.
And see if it works in your schedule.
That would be sweet. And I know Nick.
The only thing is,
I got to try
I know
to get down
all
there.
the rooms at the dive shop during the dates that I'm thinking about, they're all full because they're doing a big free diving.
See that free diving stuff? That's freaky, people. People that hold their breath and go down deep. I don't.
It's very interesting because these guys like. It's crazy because they're like, we'll get you to 20 meters.
Yeah.
By the end of your first session, I'm like, what? Like, no,
so I can get to 20 meters
back up though.
Yeah, but then
the bodies float, so you're going to come back.
Everything you think about how you hold your breath isn't how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
For free diving, and same with clearing and just essentially, it's every free dive that you do is a period of meditation.
Yeah,
you need to be able to completely relax everything so your body doesn't burn through.
Which I guess that's kind of good. Yeah,
and for the veteran side of things. It is insanely therapeutic.
I would imagine,
because essentially you're teaching this guy how to clear his mind and relax his body.
Yeah,
but it's for a very specific reason.
Yeah,
but then those guys can take those techniques and transition them to like if they have very severe PTSD and they're losing their shit one day, they can revert back to some free diving techniques to calm their body.
I didn't even think about that kind of. And that's how I look at scuba to begin with. Just 100% slow breaths in and out. Just gives me a way that. Yeah. And you're so focused on originally of not dying that it helps you get zoned in.
Yeah.
And
then you once you start diving more, you realize like, I want to stay down longer. I'm burning through my gas. Okay, I need to learn how to relax. Yeah. Now I need to focus on buoyancy. Now I need to focus on this or that or whatever so I can extend how much, how long it takes me to go through this gas.
And then you get into drip diving where you just kind of fly like Superman and don't do anything.
So fun.
I love that.
I love them. I drift dives and night dives. I did a liveaboard last year. And it was down in Turks and Caicos. It was absolutely some of the best diving I've ever done. It was phenomenal. But every night we did a night dive. And so after like the third night, and I love night dives. After like the third night, I was just like, hey, is there a liveaboard anywhere in the world that we sleep all day and we do 5 dives at night? Cause I would love to start diving. Like you have breakfast at like 6 p.m. You get your first dive at whatever, 7:30, whenever it's dark. And you do your service interval. Your next dive's at whatever, midnight service interval.
You sleep during the day, vampire night.
Then you do your final dive right before sunrise, and you eat dinner, and you go to bed all day long. I'm like, that would be. I'd spend a lot of money on that trip.
That would be kind of wild. The night dives that are wild are even California, the kelp forest. That would
be insane.
Oh, it is.
That's another bucket list for me.
Oh yeah,
that's cold water. It's cold water.
Yeah, you got to sack up.
I like cold water.
You got to sack up, dude.
I'm not as bad as Nick.
No,
Oh, Nick is so bad because he's spoiled with that Caribbean water.
Oh yeah,
and it's funny. He'll wear a wetsuit down there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, it's 86 degrees. He's like, yeah, but they didn't dive him cold. There was one night dive we did, and
Nick's very sensitive.
He is. On my dive computer, the lowest temp I recorded on that dive was 82.7 degrees or something like that. But by the end of the day, it was a night dive, and we did about, I don't know, 45, 50 minutes. And by the end of it, we're doing our safety stop, and like I kind of got a little chill, and I was like, I'm just in shorts in my PCD, and I was like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
That was the first time.
Well, they say anything under 86 degrees, your body starts losing temperature. So, I mean, if you dive a whole week, you start getting cold. If you're always down there,
Right.
I can see it. But then Nick's a little bit too sensitive.
Yeah, he really is.
Hi, Nick.
Our first night dive, wasn't that in Cozumel?
Oh, yeah.
A storm rolled through while we were underwater.
Oh, that's
so it was
cool.
nice. We, get in, do our dive, and we surfaced.
It was chaos.
It was
it was insane. Yeah.
That's so cool.
They threw the buoys out to like make
Did
sure
you guys have
to hold
when
on
you
to.
guys were under, at depth? Did you have any idea?
No,
that was
not at
happening?
all. Not at all.
That's
I mean,
so
we
cool.
surfaced as like Gilligan's Island, that storm that hits. I mean, it was crazy.
Y'all get on the boat.
Yeah, and he's going, but he's like 12, so I'm a great father. and
This was our first like dive trip somewhere. We went. We get on the boat and they're like, we can't drop you off on your dock. The
It's
waves
too
are too
rough,
big. Like, we got to take you down farther. And they drop us off 1.5 miles probably.
Yeah.
They're like,
down.
see ya.
And we're still wearing our wetsuits, all of our gear, and we load it up and we hike.
Oh
We
wow.
walk through Cozumel. We're just
laughing.
laughing our ass off, just pouring rain and everything.
At least you guys had wetsuits.
Oh yeah, we're wet. It's like we're already wet, no big deal.
All right.
But when we're trying to get on the boat too, as the boat comes up, you hear the motor going. So he panicked and he pushed away from it. Like,
Okay.
oh shit, if I lose him, my wife's going to kill me. So I pushed away. So we're running, so I'm shining the light down in my head so they can see us
Right.
out there.
Yep.
And it was the big guys had to grab us and pull us up on the boat because we couldn't get up because we
Wow.
couldn't even get up on the ladder. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was hilarious.
That's kind of my biggest worry. When we were doing that live aboard, like the bottom of the boat had lights.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you always had a reference point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But if the boat's not set up like that and they don't have some marker that's set,
Yeah.
it's pitch fucking black.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it is.
And that was one of my biggest fears when I first started doing night dives. It was like, what if I
Lose the boat?
what if I get caught in a current somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Then how are people going to see me? You can't see shit in the ocean at night.
No,
especially
that's why
on the
you
surface.
shine. And you don't shine it at them. You shine it
You
down
shine
at
it straight
yourself.
down at yourself.
Yeah.
And there's I get this fancy little mount for a light that it straps to the top of my hand.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of tech guys use
I
that
got 'em.
stuff. But I just got a cheap nylon one that it just sticks my battery powered. I don't have a cord
I
and
don't.
a battery.
Well, nowadays
pack.
the batteries are good enough. You don't even need those
Yeah.
canister lights anymore.
And it works amazing, except when you have to do any type of hand and arm signals because I can't shine
Can't
it
see
back
it.
at
Yeah.
myself.
Uh-huh.
Look
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you got to be conscious about what hand you have it on, so you're not hitting
Yep.
everybody with it.
Or you're not, every time you check your gauge, you're just blasting everybody else in the face.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but the kelp forest out in California, the first time I did that, I was a night dive and got in, hop in, I'm going along. And the minute you get in these kelps, you hear the Jaws theme going through your head. So we surface and having to swim back to the boat. And I hate being on the surface because, they call people on the surface bait.
Right.
So I'm going along and I'm keeping underwater, watching stuff, and I see this splash in front of me. And this thing starts swimming straight at me. My mind is a Mako. It's coming at me. And it was a long time ago. So I get there and it's swimming at me and then boom, it bounces off my chest. It's a tiny little fish. There was some sea lion on the back of the boat chasing these fish. So it's trying to get
that's
away
funny.
from it. So I'm like, oh my God, life flashing in front of me.
Yeah.
But those trips are always great. We did one down in, I don't remember where it was, but we climbed a Mayan pyramid. Another parenting lesson for me. Matthew's like 10 years old, and I'm having him climb a pyramid in front of me, and I'm thinking, you know what? You just go up in front of me. If you start falling, I'll pin him. So we're fine. No problem. So we go all the way up there, and it was Koba, so it was the second highest pyramid that they have. And we get down to the bottom, and they said, "Yeah, a tourist fell off and died last week." I'm like, oh shit, yeah, dad of the year again.
I told you after.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at your boys, I think you did pretty good.
I'm pretty proud
I mean,
of him.
he's questionable.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Zach's
But he almost kept up with you that night, though. So
No, he did. No. Like I said, they're.
Well,
I mean, me and you guys down in Nicaragua. By the end of the trip, like Scott and I were talking, and I'm like, we couldn't have met better people down here.
oh, that was
Like
such a
everybody
trip.
on that trip, they were just genuine salt of the earth people. You know,
Yeah. talking about guns and all the time. And
Oh yeah, with Kenny.
Scott had to lecture me on that, but I came back and I gave my buddy, the Marine, a lecture on that. You made me look like a dick talking about dropping on the bullets.
That's funny. That's funny. No, it's and it's like you guys probably see it with cigars. We see it less now because we're so far removed from the gun industry. For how involved we were before when we had the gun store. But I still get it now. We know when people they find out that we know some stuff about guns, and that we used to have a gun store, blah blah blah, whatever. And then like the last time I had a guy, he asked me, he's like, what barrel should I get for a 300 Win Mag? And I'm like, what do you want to do with it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And he's like, I want to take an animal. I want to take a big game animal at 1,200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, can you shoot 1,200 yards? He's like, well,
Can you handle the recoil of a gun that can shoot?
Yeah. I was like, where are you going to take this animal? Like, there's so much more than information I need to be able to figure out, to answer your question. Like, where are you hunting at? Oh, I don't know, maybe Colorado. I'm like, okay, well, Colorado has energy restrictions.
Yeah.
Your round needs to carry enough energy at distance to be able to, ethically take that animal.
Yeah.
I was like, that's too far with that caliber. And I was like, it won't carry the energy. I was like, how about we reevaluate what your want is for, and then we can get you the right thing. I'm like, if you want to build one, I'll give you one of the best barrels ever. Here, go get this company, and it's going to be phenomenal. But what you want to use it for, it's the same thing. Like with scuba, like I'm going to get a rebreather so I can go to 60 feet.
Yeah.
Like, you know how much those cost?
Yeah. We didn't spend a day down there with 60 feet.
You should get that if you're doing something where you need it.
Yeah.
And that's not 60.
Yeah, I wasted. I didn't. I just got it because I wanted it.
Yeah. But you dive to the depths.
But it was a challenge. It was like, okay, what's the next thing I want to do? And I think this is kind of interesting.
Yeah. How do I keep progressing in this so I don't get bored?
Yeah. It's.
Do you ever think you're going to revert backwards? You're going to go like more simplistic.
Well, that's why I said I got a warm water BCD that's got like 20 pounds of lift because I'm not going to ever wear a dry suit with it, and just skim down so I can put it on a carry-on bag and go.
Right.
So I know I did dial it back, but the problem is I got like 10 different BCDs. I got this one for side mount. I got this one for rebreather. I got this one for cold water.
I just bought my second. And
isn't that cute?
I know, right? But it's funny though because. And I did the absolute opposite, right? So I have a back inflate right now of the Mars Bolt, which sucks to teach because surface work it just pushes you forward.
We put an ankle weight on the back on your valve,
and
keeps you up.
And so I did. I put the trim weights in the back. I put my light weights in the front, my heavy weights in the back, and then surface work is great. But so I just got my second one, and it's a back inflate, but it's just an aluminum plate. Yeah, and it's more for like tech diving. Yeah. And so I got it, and I'm like, setting everything up, putting all my little trinkets everywhere and all that fun stuff. And then I realized that's when I realized, not before I purchased it, not when I decided I wanted this specific model. When I was setting it all up, is when I realized, I'm like, oh, I'm probably not going to be using this much at all in the near future. Because the majority of dives I'm going to be doing are going to be teaching. And I can't wear this when I teach.
Yeah. I wear mine when I teach. I always,
but for open water,
like
I have to, remove and put back your equipment and do this.
But you still, people always tell me, well, don't you want to wearing the same stuff you're wearing? It's like there's different ways of teaching it. Right, so you teach them and you let them know that there's variances to everything because you're not always going to be diving the same stuff. And like a lot of people you don't use weight belts anymore.
Right.
It's like, you know what? If you're going to dive Mexico and you're going to rank here, you better know how to use a weight belt.
Because that's all they have.
That's all they have, yeah. And that was the first time because I back when I learned, they taught us how to use weight belts. Most people don't train anymore.
I got my open water cert, I think in 98 or 99.
Yeah.
So integrated weights back then, that was like a dream. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a couple things that had them, but nobody could afford it.
But the first time we went down to Mexico, sure enough, one dive, Zach didn't want to dive on that boat. So I went down, and sure enough, I went and I knocked my weight belt off. And so I'm diving down to pick it up, just laughing, thinking, this is hilarious. So I'm talking to myself, I'm never going to need to do this. And then I haven't to use the skills. So you got to practice that different stuff.
Yep. I haven't used a weight belt. Well, I mean, I have my own equipment and I don't use a weight belt, but even like down in Rotan, almost all the shops now have switched to integrated weights.
Yeah.
Not using weight belts. It's all built in the BCD. And almost all the shops, I'm almost guaranteed all the shops in Texas, all their rental equipment is all integrated stuff. Just
yeah. Oh yeah. Just but when you get down and renting stuff in Mexico.
But there's like when I did Bon Air a couple of years ago, there was a couple of shops I saw guys diving weight belts.
Yeah. And I always tie mine up and everything because once you start getting to the technical side of it, you start realizing dropping weights is more of a danger than having too much weight because, like you said, you can't surface. Yeah, you have to. Stay down.
And sometimes like the tech stuff too. It's not like you have a bottom. There's some places where you're diving and it's like 2,000 feet. And you're just hanging out at 250.
Yeah.
You know, on the edge of a wall or something.
But if you're doing deco, you better not lose a weight.
No.
Then you're screwed. I mean, so it's more of a danger losing weights and keeping it on. So anymore, I keep them pretty secured. Unless I'm teaching open water, then you have to be able to dump them. And you have to be a role model for that. But when I'm diving by myself, I'm always securing them like crazy. And I was on a boat one time. I tied my weight belt on. The guy comes, "Oh, you can't do that. You need to."
He like slapping his hand, like, "Don't touch me."
Dude, whatever. It's open circuit, so I'm not worried about it. But if it touches your rebreather, like, get the hell away from that.
Yeah, that's a. We were talking earlier. I don't know if I'll ever go down that rabbit hole. I say that now. We'll see.
Oh, you will. Probably.
I hope not. I really hope not.
Just obsessed with it, just because it's kind of cool. It's fun.
Like I'd like to do it once to be like, cool.
Oh no, you don't.
No,
because the minute you wear a rebreather, it's like it's worse than beginning scuba diving. The buoyancy goes to hell.
Oh yeah,
because your lungs have no effect on you because it goes from your lungs to the counter lung and then back. So you stay the same. Oh. So where it varies is when you change your depths and everything like that. So when you start swimming around. So right now when we're diving, like I want to go up, take a deep breath, go over whatever, and not. It's not that way. So it's like, this sucks. I'm relearning how to dive again because right now,
never even thought of that.
Yeah, open circuit. It's like walking. It's natural.
Right.
You up and down, no detail, but not with a rebreather.
Huh.
So.
Yeah.
What a different world.
It's a very different world.
But you get to learn gases, how they affect you, and all the different stuff. And if you're going to go deep, you got to do.
There's a lot of math involved in that.
Yeah. There's a lot of planning. There's no, you don't.
We're just going to go dive today.
You think through stuff a lot more.
Yep.
And I always tell all my students too, if you're going to get into tech diving, get used to being wrong. Because every tech diver has their way of doing it. And if you don't do it my way, you're going to die. I mean, every one of these guys, anybody that's a tech diver, have to admit to that.
Yeah.
Everybody else is an idiot. They're going to die. Your way is the only way.
But now there are legitimate risks though. Like,
when
I was talking to that guy, Adam down in Rotan, some of the emergency stuff, he's like, ultimately my end goal is to get to 6 meters and then switch to 100% O2.
Yeah.
And he's like, if I'm on 100% O2 and I go to 7 meters and I'm there within a minute, oxygen toxicity, I'm dead. I was like, whoa, hold on. None of this.
Started having seizures. Yeah. But it's just, you learn it and you pay attention to it. The people that, I'm going to say this and you're going to get emails saying, whoever that guy is, he's an idiot. He's not what he's talking about.
He's wrong.
Yeah. But I mean, the people that don't take their backup gas, those are the ones that are going to have problems. I mean, you always have to have an out.
Yeah.
I mean, and the more layers of an out you have, the safer you are.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting though when you look like on a broader spectrum of like on the tech side of things. It's like some of these guys, they might be doing it 30, 40, 50 years and unbelievably proficient with it. But then all it takes is that one thing.
You let your guard down.
You let your guard down one time.
Yeah.
And so like you look at guys doing recreational scuba, they can do it their entire life. They have not a single issue.
You can get by with a lot of stuff.
And then you look at tech guys and like there's a very high percentage that like
is that
eventually they're no longer around, and it's because of what they they made a mistake.
It's the stuff that they got away with. Is what killed them eventually.
Yep.
Is that normalization of deviance that they call it, where you do something stupid and like, hey, I don't really need that safety. I don't need to wear my seatbelt anymore.
Yeah.
I never get in a wreck.
Right.
Until that time that semi crosses the road and takes you out.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need a seatbelt until you need it. And then it's too late at that point.
Yeah. It was funny because I totaled 2 cars in my life, and neither time I had a seatbelt on.
No seatbelt?
From that second time, I wore a seatbelt every day the rest of my life.
Wow.
Just because, like, you know what? I'm a dumbass. I got by with it twice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to push it
When
anymore.
I was younger, it was like, and I don't know if it was maybe like maybe I had a problem with authority. But I was like, I'm not wearing it. You don't need a fucking seatbelt, blah, blah. Mind you,
That's
also,
for girls.
I started driving, in the mid 90s, and the mindset was a little bit different then. We're still only, 20 years from when the seatbelts were like mandatory. You know what I mean? Like, so there's still, you're driving with older people or parents or stuff, and they don't wear their seatbelts.
Yeah, the seatbelt I had was that. My dad would stop me.
And it was amazing how good parents were with that.
Oh yeah. Like, if you were slowing down, that arm went out.
Like, bam, and you're like, whoa, hey, fuck, thanks. You saved my life. Maybe, I don't know. I'm too young. But when I was younger, I refused to wear seatbelts, and it wasn't like a definitive like accident or anything like that happened. Like just one day, like it made sense in my brain. And I was just like, oh no, I should probably wear this thing,
Yeah, my last one, I got rear-ended by a semi, sent the truck about 40 feet, went down in a grader ditch, spun around, and luckily didn't roll or anything, and busted the window out with my head and everything.
Wow.
And like, from here on, I'm wearing it.
Yeah.
And
do you wear your seatbelt?
I do.
Yeah.
Good. He's a good dad.
See, once in a while, there's
you got one on that.
Yeah. So what are next steps for you guys with DJs? You guys have any cool stuff coming up on the horizon?
We're doing an event in October I think, with this local networking group. They want to do a little setup. We had a roller come in back in last October, and did a big event from a different place. But hopefully we'll get you guys rolling.
Speaking of rollers, remember the roller that we brought to the beach?
Yeah.
That guy lives in San Antonio now.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, he under the previous administration, he quit the factory, left Nicaragua.
He just got to walk right across the border.
And so last I heard when I talked to Gonzalo, last I heard he was working at doing dishes at some restaurant or something like that.
Oh wow!
And so we were going to try to get all the stuff set up so we can and then
do
contact
events.
the guy and be like, hey, like he legitimately rolled at our factory. But trying to get all that stuff up here during COVID and trying to organize with, he didn't speak English and I don't speak Spanish. So nothing ever came of it, but I know he's not back in Nicaragua.
Well, the things you always love is when people do these rolling events and they'll go smoke the cigars right away. It's like, oh, that's horrible.
Like you smoke it right away or you need to sit on that for a while.
They still don't get a chance to marry well. The tobaccos and stuff.
We got some stuff aging in the humidor at our shop in Texas right now, which it's kind of so we had stuff made and aged in Nicaragua, and then we smoked it and we brought it back and we've been smoking them. They're future blends that we're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then so this last trip I was down, I didn't have enough time to have them done before I got there. And it was kind of one of those things that was just like, oh shit, I need more of these. And then I looked at the time, the calendar, and I'm like, fuck, they won't be ready, And so I'm like, you know what? I'll just have them rolled while I'm there. And then, I brought a Pelican case. Actually, I use it for all my scuba stuff. It's one of the air, lightweight ones, and it fits all my dive stuff perfectly.
So you travel with that, and doesn't it really add a shitload of weight to it?
Well, so when I book my flights, I book it so I have 2 check bags.
Oh, okay.
And so I bring one bag that has like all my clothes and toiletries and all that shit.
See, it's
and
not just me. I dive gear.
But the problem is we end up having to carry all his bags.
That's why I had kids. He's like, where's the remote control? Go get me the remote control and carry my bag. That's why I pay for the flights.
Yep. But yeah, so I bring all and then I carry on my reg set. The rest of that, I don't care if I lose the rest of my stuff. My reg, that's all replaceable fairly easy. My reg set, no, I don't want anything to happen to that.
And that's what I always teach all my people is because you get it done here where you have attorneys that can sue people if they don't take care of your gear right.
Yep. So it's really funny. Like I only get my gear serviced at the Mari store in Roatan. I won't get it serviced in the States.
Well, it's Mari's. It's legitimate.
But I know.
Yeah.
I know what those guys have gone through training wise, and I've had very serious conversations. And then I've seen other people that got equipment serviced in shops in Texas, and then we go dive and something's wrong.
Yeah,
their air gauge is messed up or something's not working how it's supposed to work. And then we bring it to the Mari store in Roatan and they're like, oh, who did this? This is all messed up. This is all, and I'm
it's a typical thing. See, you're an idiot. You had it done wrong.
Yeah.
No, I do my rebreather too. I took the classes from Hollis and all this stuff, so I know how to do it. And So
it's some very technical stuff.
Well, what's scary is it's not. It's really basic.
Right.
I mean, it's
but
surprisingly
you
easy.
need to know how to do it the right way.
Oh, yeah.
Assembly,
And
reassembly.
Yeah, no
That's
round
the technical side of
corners.
things.
Yeah.
But it's a very simple system.
It's crazy.
Even
how
the
simple
reg
it is.
sets.
Yeah.
Your first stage, it's all very simple. It's just you have to do it in a certain order, or else you really mess things up.
And you have to double check it and double check it. You know, oh, it looks good. It's like, I got a couple extra parts. I'm fine.
Yeah, you put it back together. You're like, oh, where's this screw? It's fine. It
Yeah.
should've worked. No.
They always build redundancies in. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
They build redundancies when it's assembled correctly.
Yeah. That's the first redundancy.
Yeah.
If you make it right, and then what do you do when it doesn't work?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, I love diving. That's a big part of diving. It's like you cover your own ass. You just take care of yourself.
Seriously.
I mean,
Yep.
anybody that's going to rely, and everybody I teach, and all my boys and everything, and all my students I try to teach, you want to be like a 1.5 diver. You can take care of yourself and half of the other person.
Right.
That way, when the shit hits the fan, you're down to about a 1 diver, and you can take care of yourself.
You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're just barely getting by,
Mhm.
I don't want to be around you.
Yeah. No, it's you know, and when you first get into diving, it's very interesting because like it's none of that matters really. You're just like, this is so fun, you know? And then you're like, hey, can you help me set this up? I can't remember which way my reg set goes when I put it on my tank.
Yeah.
You know, hey, is this right with my tank? Or you watch somebody drop their BCD and strap it in and the valve's facing the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, oh yeah, you know what I mean?
Or the thing I always love is the first time they go on a boat dive and they put the tank in there, they put the BCD on, put the buck strap on, and then they put their second stage on the valve. You're like, oh, this is going to be funny when they try to stand up.
Put everything on. Can't move.
So we're down in Roatan and we're filming a back roll with the sunset in the background for the camera crew that was down there with Warfighter Scuba. And so we do the first one and, you know, it looked pretty good. And then Nick gets back on the boat and we're about to do the second one. And then he gets back on the boat and I'm getting all my gear ready because like they're trying to get the surface shot and then they want me to go and get a GoPro underneath shot.
Okay.
And
so they don't want you doing it. They don't want you on camera. They want
so
you doing the
really
camera.
Funny, right?
Okay.
So
It kind of makes sense.
The way that so I was on camera. It was Nick and myself. And when I was down there for my ITC course. So Nick was my instructor and I was the student. In this video, Nick is the student. I'm the instructor. And it was really funny because like at the time, I didn't even have my assistant instructor. I was just a straight dive master. Like, I didn't have any of my you know, instructor
0 to hero.
And and Nick, you know, is an instructor trainer and all this stuff. And I was like, I can't wait to tell everybody that you were my student. You know what I mean? So we're filming this back roll and I'm sitting there and I just get, you know, my stuff on and I'm getting all my buckles clipped and Nick's getting ready to roll again. And I look over at the camera guy and I was just like, oh, this is my time to shine right now. I'm like, hey, do you know why scuba divers roll backwards out of the boat? And Nick's like, do not finish that. And the guy's like, why? And Nick's like, don't you fucking say it. I'm failing you on your course. And I'm like, because if they roll forward, they fall on the boat. And Nick's like, oh, I hate you. And I got my stuff and I went off the boat. And so then when we started doing the instructor training, like all my stuff, I had to do all these presentations over and over and over. And you know, they don't get boring, but like
it's
I
hard
guarantee
doing all
you
the stupid stuff.
for Nick being there watching this by like my third or fourth one,
Mhm.
you know, like, so I was like, you know what, I can make this fun. So I started like throwing little dad jokes in and all this stuff. And Nick's like, you got to stop. He's like, do not do this in your instructor evaluation. I'm like, why not? I'm like, it'll be fun. He's like, oh my God. He's like, if you fail because of your stupid dad jokes, I was like, it'll be so much fun.
So you got to wait
and
and
translate that into a class and it makes the students feel more comfortable.
It's really
100%,
and all this. It was really funny, but
those presentations, they get kind of tiring after a while.
it was I had fun though.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like, I mean, it's kind of just my personality. Like I can be very serious when I need to be serious, but I like having fun.
Oh,
like,
you got to. You got to, like he says, that goes a long ways.
It really does.
I mean, and you take care of everything, but you still have to have fun. I had a CPR class last night. I was teaching, so going through, and I knocked the baby's face off when I was doing it.
Yeah. Well,
but you know, the funniest one was when you work with the cops, the firemen. Those guys. Oh boy. They're hilarious. They're like, yeah, we gotta be real careful when cameras are around. So the best guys around, but they're just
They have a different sense of humor.
Oh, they got to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the same.
But you want them around when you need them.
Yep.
That's
same
damn
with
sure.
military guys.
Yeah.
You know, they have that crazy dark humor to deal with the trauma and bullshit that they've gone through. And
Yeah.
it's funny how the brain works.
Copes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, we're gonna joke, but it's gonna be really messed up.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
but when it's serious, it's serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
Absolutely.
That's why. I love it. I'll come down with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to
Yep. And I'll let you know the dates after
just
we get done recording. And
make
we'll
a
see if we
field
can
trip
make it
and
work.
we'll go meet in Texas and fly down.
Yeah,
or
whatever.
Yeah.
Because I fly through Houston, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys would probably
That's
do the
where I
same.
would too. Yeah.
Yep. Well, cool guys. Well, we've been doing this kind of long enough.
I guess so. Yeah.
Where can everybody find you guys? Social medias, anything like that?
Yeah, we're on Instagram.
What's the handles?
So it's
Yeah,
DJ,
we'll link everything in the below in the
for,
description as well.
so we have our cigar page. It's DJ Cigars.
Okay,
We're online also, djcigars.com.
cool,
So we got all your guys' stuff up
Awesome.
there too.
awesome.
We didn't ask about that one. Was that one any good?
Oh yeah, what is this one?
So we so today we're recording. It's actually April 1st, which is our launch for the Redacted cigar, for our event only cigar. And so we're trying to plan.
But it's true. It's not a BS. April
Yeah,
1st
it's
thing.
not an April Fool's joke. It just so happened that our launch date coincided with this, and we're like, well, you know what? People are either going to understand it or they're going to think that we're full of shit. And if they think we're full of shit, it's their fault for missing out on it because we're not.
Not this time.
No, but
Not this time, yeah.
it's our event only cigar. We're talking about trying to do an event here after the summer. And we'll put all the information out for that once we get the dates and times and locations
definitely
locked down. But yeah, because it's live right now. While we were sitting here, we had customers that came in. We did a little, spiff promo for these guys, and we handed out the first few redacted cigars to customers in Arizona in DJs.
And we thank you for that.
Well, you haven't smoked yours yet. You're smoking. What do you
Smoking
think?
it right now.
It's absolutely delicious.
Yes, this is great.
It's
Like, what's the blend?
no, it's redacted.
Oh.
That's it. So rapid binder filler. There's 3 people in the world that know what it is. It's Scott, myself, and the guy who runs our factory down in Nicaragua. And that's it. There's very limited amount of information that's out about this cigar because of how it is. It's redacted.
Yeah.
It's all top secret,
Yeah.
highly classified. The only way that we communicated with the factory to get this working was using Signal. We store all of our documents in a very secure garage, and that's where you put top secret stuff.
Right by your Corvette.
right next to the Corvette.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
And but yeah, it's we try to think a little out of the box on this cigar with the blend itself, and then with the marketing behind it.
Is
like
it
I said,
any good?
It's really good.
you can't buy it anywhere, and that's the best part.
Yeah.
It's
Not
it's
really.
an invaluable cigar.
Yeah, for retailers. I mean, it'd be nice.
Yeah, well, but the whole
No, I know.
the whole premise behind it is when we do these events.
Exactly,
This is
yeah.
when we want
No, that'd
we
be
want
cool.
everybody to show up to the events and support our local retail shops. And then that's your opportunity to get these cigars. So we're still on the fence if we're going to have some people review it or not. I think we have a handful of guys that do cigar reviews that we believe do legitimate, honest reviews.
Mhm.
And so we don't
sure
know
you-
if we're going to get some out to them or not, but we might just to, but it's going to be interesting because it's just going to be their opinion.
Yeah.
Because there's no information to give them.
Yeah.
Well, what's the wrapper binder filler? What's redacted? What's the strength? What do you think?
Yeah.
What are the tasting notes? So you let me know.
Yeah. I got a cigar I'm not selling. That is a marketing plan that I haven't
We'll
heard
see.
that one yet. Yeah.
We'll
No,
see
but
how
it's
it
cool.
works.
Yeah,
It could
no,
be great.
yeah,
or
it's great.
we just made a really expensive mistake. But
I would say it's worth seeking out.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is very good.
So it's worth finding out where they're doing stuff and
Yeah.
support the people that support you.
right. And
Because, I mean,
that's the
that's-
whole thing. We're trying to figure out how to get more people into shops, especially when we do events.
Yeah.
Because, doing the traditional methods that everyone's been doing for the past 20 years, like it only works so well.
Yeah.
And then we can't be like Jewish State or Oliva, where it's like, oh, if you buy one cigar, we'll give you a car.
Yeah.
You know, a whole car right there. You just buy that cigar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, sorry, we can't do that.
Which was going off on a different subject. Yeah, Nick, when you said Oliva, and Nick, one of our reps from Oliva, went to school with Nick.
Okay.
Out here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Small world.
I know. I mean, it's how they're buddies, and they're buddies on things. How do you know Nick down in Roatan? So I went to school.
So Nick Powers from Warfighter Scuba and we were at MMI at the same time. We were just taking different classes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so
MMI.
Motorcycle Mechanics Institute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we both got certified to wrench on bikes. He did BMW and Yamaha, I think, and I did Harley and Honda. Yeah, and so they were just opposite classes, and you know, we didn't start at the same time, so all the basic courses that we had to do, we weren't doing them. You know, we did them at different times, but we were both there on campus at the same time, just taking different classes. It's so funny just how once you start talking and you start realizing like how all these little interconnections.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like everything that Nick knows, I taught him that time. So yeah for the most part, yeah.
Well, and when I do my instructor evaluation, he's like, "You better pass." I was like, if I fail,
which is not true. Nick, I mean, he's dope.
I told
he's got
Nick,
way more dives.
It's like, if I fail my instructor evaluation, it's because you didn't teach me well enough.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, I did my open water and my advanced open water. Every single thing I've done since then has been with Nick.
Yeah.
I was like, so if I mess it up, it's because you didn't teach me.
I get that. I get that
shit.
from a lot of instructors now. They tell me I raise them from very beginning to now. Like, so if he screwed up, it's his fault.
Yeah, and then when you really think about it, you're like, fuck yeah, it is my fault. Like, okay.
So when you get in the water, just say, hey, did my air get turned on?
Yeah, I did that. Probably about 30 dives ago. I don't know. I can't remember where it was. I think I was in Roatan. I can't remember. But so I turned it on. I checked everything. And everything's good. And then we had to go motor out or do whatever. And so I just turned it back off. And I don't know why. And then so when we were all getting ready, like I was helping everybody else. And then I'm like, yep, loaded all my stuff on. I can back roll it in. And I was like, oh, got to the surface. Like, hey, you turn my hair on.
Oh, yeah. I used to do one when I was about 100 foot down. And I took a hard breath in and it bottomed out. Like, shit, I'm running out of gas. And so I started drifting over to the dive master that's going along because this was down in Turks and Caicos or something like that. And Zach wasn't diving with me this time, so I just kind of drifted over just in case the next one wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, you know, right on top of it so I took a breath in slowly. It was there. It was fine. Like, okay, so we're good. So something's wrong. Something's fucked up in my gauge. So I took another deep, hard breath in and it bottomed out. Shit.
I know
I didn't turn it on all the way.
Oh.
So I had it on enough that for shallow it was okay. But when I started trying to hit it hard.
So I did another one where, and they don't teach it. They came out and said that you're not supposed to do this anymore. And I did some homework behind the science behind this, and this changed like 30 years ago. The valve style changed.
Quarter turn back, yeah.
The quarter turn. You open it all the way, quarter turn back, and so the valve doesn't stick. Well, that's because they used to use fine threads in the valves. Yeah. Back in the 80s, they changed to coarse threads.
Yeah, we still do it that way though.
But they just changed it a couple years ago.
Yeah, a few years back.
Because they said you don't have to do that. You can just open wide open. Well, I opened all my stuff and I thought I closed it. So when I went to go do the dive, I didn't pay attention which way I was turning it. I just went all the way until it stopped, quarter turn back.
Yeah.
And so I did a whole dive with a quarter turn open.
So as long as you're shallow.
But it was the same thing. It was like, I would take that and it would be like, it would start to feel weird. And I'm like, what? I look at my gauge. I'm like, I got plenty of gas. What the fuck's going on? And then we get back and I go to close my tank and it was like, whoop. And that was it. And I was like, oh my God.
So Dan was right. Okay.
I never made that mistake again ever in my dive career. I was just like, ooh, that's a self-correcting problem. I learned real quick.
No, it's funny with that stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny as long as you can tell the story afterwards.
Well, and that was the interesting part. Like, thankfully it wasn't a deep dive.
Yeah.
And like, but I learned that like, oh, okay. So technically this could work.
Mm-hmm.
Now this isn't the right way to do it, but at least I know, you know what I mean? And,
until you go down deep and you hit it hard because then your volume can't come out.
And then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, because I went through the same thing. I got plenty of gas, so I'm thinking the first stage is crapping out.
Yeah.
And then it made sense.
That's funny.
But yeah, that's
live and learn. Hopefully you live when you learn.
Well, cool guys. So we know where everybody can find you. We'll have all your social media links and your website linked below.
Come in
And
by
so,
Warfighter.
if you guys are in Arizona, there's 4 locations, and they don't have just cigars. We probably should have talked about this a little early in the episode. But
Well, so the reason why we, like I said, we got into cigars, you asked when we got into it, it's because our shop, we'd always been like a 25-year-old, an older type shop, more of a mature shop. But that was perfect for getting into cigars because that was the people that are going to be transitioning, growing up, and getting in. And it just worked right into us. And that's why we got in. And cigars have been fantastic for us.
Because you guys also carry vape. You carry...
all different types of pipes.
Yeah, all different types of pipes.
Everything.
Yeah.
You guys have some pipe tobacco. You have some extracurricular pipe activities.
Yes.
In Arizona, it's perfectly legal, but
Yeah.
you know, I live in the great state of Texas where they're anti anything fun. Yeah, we have a lot of freedoms, but they have a lot of stupid laws. Like we still can't buy booze on Sundays. Like guys, it's 2025. Like, come on, you know, you can't go do beer and wine only, but only afternoon. You got to go to church first.
Yeah.
Like,
I ran into that in Tennessee. There was hours, different hours.
Like, you guys, this is so dumb. Like the only time, now I don't drink that much anymore, so it doesn't really affect me. But it used to piss me off so bad because we go to like float the river on a Sunday. I'm like, oh, I'll stop to look. Oh shit! You know, everything's closed. I can't buy booze.
And Texas is such a big state; you can't drive to the next place.
Yeah,
In Kansas, when I lived back in Kansas for a few years, I could just go across the border and grab stuff and haul it back.
But yeah, so you guys got
4 stores. Yeah,
4 stores, and each store has a similar setup.
Yep.
And do you guys have little smoking areas in each one of them?
Smoking areas in all of them.
Awesome.
Some of them are bigger than others, but I mean, this is about the regular size here.
Yeah. Are you guys think about ever putting a bar in them? Liquor? No.
Our goal, that's our
To be
goal.
determined.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Possible future plans.
We'll let you know for sure.
Yeah,
You'll be out for opening.
Over the years of coming in, I mean, obviously, like we talked about earlier, you guys completely rearranged. You added more chairs and a larger smoking area and stuff like that. You know, in the military, we call it constantly improving your foxhole.
Yeah.
You don't just build it one day and you're like, cool, this is it forever.
Yeah.
You're constantly improving, doing work, changing, making systems better.
We sat on our laurels for a little while, but now with Zach coming along, we're in the process of a major change.
That's awesome.
So we'll let you know, and we'll get on your site, and we'll do everything.
And if you guys do that, I'll come back out. We'll sit down, and record some more stuff, and do some more events and all that. Like, I love seeing when shops are being innovative. They're incorporating things that are kind of a little outside the box sometimes, maybe just to make it a unique experience.
Yeah, I mean, you got to grow.
Yeah.
Grow or die.
Right? Seriously. Like, and I tell people I'm like a shark. If I stop moving, I die.
Yeah.
That's it. And so I have to be moving. I have to be doing something. If I'm
kind of getting to be a whale shark a little bit.
I know, right? It's my winter weight.
I'm getting there too.
It's my winter weight.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that sucks. I'm starting to have to wear more and more weight to get me down.
I'm going the other way. I'm down like 25 pounds.
Oh, very good.
I got a little out of shape there for a minute.
It happened.
Yeah. I got busy, but I wasn't focusing on the right things.
Diving helps a lot. But then again, you see a lot of people that are like once a year divers that are not.
Or I see guys that they dive a lot, but you're like, hey man, like it'd be a lot easier if you.
I don't want to have to rescue you.
Yeah,
Just put it that way.
I can get you the service, but I can't get you on a boat or a dock.
And it's hands only CPR too, dude.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And we like your ashtrays.
Yeah, and
the toe breakers.
They carry all the whole line of cigars here at all their locations. They got ashtrays and some of our accessories. They got rut cases sitting up there. Oh, you guys have an orange one.
Yeah,
that was actually discontinued by Pelican. That is gold right there.
There we go.
But yeah,
I'm not going to lose it. Yeah, that's nice.
No, now I know where to send people.
Are you guys still doing those?
We're still doing the rut cases, but we only have OD green and black. That's all that Pelican produces now. They killed the tan. They killed orange. And they killed the small, the R20, the small side. Actually, you guys have R20s up there.
Yeah, R20 up there.
You got Pelican on everything.
Yeah, I mean, we use Pelican for. I have a massive. I mean, I could fit. I think I fit 60 boxes of cigars in one of the Pelican cases.
I think I need to get a big one for all my dive gear. You're pretty strong, right, Zach? You can haul it to the airport.
They have wheels. Yeah, they have wheels. All mine have wheels except for that one. That's just like a briefcase style. But no,
cool.
like that Pelican air case with all my dive equipment. It's at where I'm staying with cigars in it still, but that's on wheels and it has an extended handle, and it's super nice to travel.
Yeah.
Except for you got to lift it up in the truck. I'm getting up there in age.
You You got to get one of those like little like excavator belts to just load it in the truck for you.
I got my boys.
Yeah, that's like, right? Yeah. Cool,
Okay.
guys. Well,
Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah,
with
thank
us.
you guys
This
for
is
having
fun.
me out and taking the time to sit down out of the day so we can record this.
course.
But yeah, if you're in Arizona, check out DJs. They have 4 locations. And anything else you guys want to add in before we end this thing?
Thank you for doing all this with me, and I'm going to be around for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Cool, guys.
Thank you
Well,
much.
until next time.
Take care.